See, we'll see if it works. Oh, there's a thumbs up. See, that's cool.
There's a thumbs
Look
up.
at all these thumbs up.
Look at this. That's wild. So no kidding. So I was at the gym and this guy comes walking up. Oh yeah, sweet. So there's the heart emoji. I'm no kidding. I'm standing. I see the guy like beeline for me. And it's a big gym. It's a decently big gym. It's a civilian gym. It's not a military gym, civilian gym. Okay. And I'm like, all right, man, what's going on here? And I could see him, and I'm like I said, my whole body's getting hot because I'm like, he's very aggressive and is like he's seen me and he's walking to me and he's been eyeballing me. And I was like, I don't know him. I don't know what's going on. Right. And then eventually he comes, he's like, hey man, are you that guy? And I was like, I don't like to fight anybody ever. Like, I don't want to do whatever this is. Like, this is not what I am. I am not, I have no belts. Like, I don't want to do this. Right. I'm not you, dude. And so, and anyway, so he's like, you're the guy from that YouTube thing with Aaron and Trent. And I was like, what?
I guess I am. Yeah.
And then I was like, I guess. And then that day was like, it was the day after you guys had posted that. And then I saw it and I was like, oh shit. All right.
Oh, wow.
Okay. I was like, yeah. So it was wild. So I didn't know what to do. I panicked and I was like, okay. And I just walked off. Like I definitely did like Pretty Girl at the bar and the guy tried to buy him. Like, I was just like,
I swallowed a bug.
I gotta go right now. My friends are calling. I didn't know what I was doing.
It's a weird thing, man, because like, and it's a hard thing for me to explain because people, we put ourselves out there a lot. We go on a lot of different things. I make it a point to try to be approachable. And I talk to a lot of people. First of all, I remind me to tell you a funny story about my captain laughing at me, going through airports and stuff. But, we do put ourselves out there, but I'm still the same person I am. I don't really like, the recognition. I don't really like people focusing on me. I don't. Yeah, exactly. I don't think I'm anything special, or I don't think I'm that great. Like it's really weird. And like I said, like there was a guy one time that came up to me in Whole Foods and was just like, hey, Aaron, what's up? I've been listening for a while. And I was literally, I was more awkward than he was. Like he was completely organic. He was just like, oh, cool. What's up? You're Aaron from the podcast. What's up? I was like, I don't know what to do with my hands. It was terrible.
They just start coming up. Coming up. The funniest thing, like, oh, go ahead.
No, but it's just a weird thing because really what you're trying to do there is you're trying to accept the fact that you affect somebody's life that you've never talked to before, that your words may have landed in a positive way. And that makes you look at yourself. Then you start going, oh man, am I good enough? Yeah. Do I deserve this recognition? Am I allowed to have affected these? Like, that's what you're really doing. And you're really sitting there and you're just like, I don't know, man. Like it is a weird feeling. Like, I'll give it to you.
For me, the podcast completely changed when we did our chat back in January, because I was just having fun. I was goofing off, whatever. Then you came on like a boss, and then everybody started paying attention. I was like, I don't know what to do now. Like, I don't know what to do now. Same thing. I'm going to do my hands. The funny thing is I went to, this was hilarious. I was telling Katie this the other day. I had a Black Rifle Coffee Company t-shirt, right? And I was down in Texas. This was a while ago. And I just had a Black Rifle t-shirt on, and no kidding. Like some guy was like, walked up to me at a restaurant. He's like, hey, are you one of the Black Rifle guys? And I was like,
oh no, I was not. Yeah.
No. And then the best part was my buddy was next to me and he was in a Nike shirt and he goes, do you think I'm Phil Knight? And I was like, I don't think that. I was like, that's awesome.
You think I'm Aubrey Drake Graham checked up from the floor up? How much did that make? I don't know. I'd have to check. Yeah.
What's going on?
I don't know. And it's a weird thing again, because it does make you realize a couple different things. We still have those, and speaking about those moments where you're just kind of like, wow, is life real? We were lucky enough to podcast this morning with Dan Schilling, the guy that wrote Alone at Dawn. And he's got a new book coming out. First of all, that guy's amazing. I can't wait to drop that podcast. It was one of the best ones that we did. Whole team was there. It was a good time, but really what it was is, you kind of step back for a second. You're like, wow, I just got to talk to a New York Times #1 bestseller. And he took time, an hour and a half out of his day to day just to talk to us. And, life's weird. And you hope, and, and this isn't to pat us on the back, but
no, it's legit though.
He was like, hey, you guys are doing good stuff for Abspec Warriors. Like, you guys are helping, trying to get the Air Force where we want it to be. And he had some awesome things to say. I'm not going to steal his thunder, but man, some of the stuff he said had me motivated, man. I was ready to run through a wall. When he's great. That book is right there. I read it. Like I try to pick it up and read it. It's there's obviously other books, good.
But it's a great book. And at the same time, it's also like, it's one of those things for a yearly reminder, obviously like on my side, like flying in and stuff like that, and not going down on the ground. It's like, hey, you know what?
Well, Dan was in Black Hawk Down too.
Yeah. It's wild. That's wild shit.
Yeah.
Like I'm trying to, and we can talk more offline, but I'm trying to work to get that based on his book, obviously, Alone at Dawn. We're trying, it looks like my squadron will be doing the ceremony this coming year in March.
Oh, that's dope.
So
that's good.
Yeah. So I talked to Peaches hooked me up with a 2-4, and then we're going to try to set something up to where we can do something in his hometown. And cool. That way we can do stuff. So we'll see, but I don't know where that's way above my pay grade, bro. That's way above it. That's way above it. So
yeah.
Oh man. Let me ask you something, Iron Man. This is actually what sparked this. So this is the best thing. So shout out to a guy named Connor, who I believe is, if he's not on a PJ contract, he's in the process of going through the recruiter stuff now. He's not a PJ. He's like going through all this stuff. Like he's still like working. He's like months away. He's out doing his ruck and his swims and his this and his that.
Hey,
and he's
hold on. Hey,
yeah, man.
Fishing Jack, what's up, man? Hey, from the Levito family, we appreciate that. What's up, dude?
Oh, absolutely.
So fishing. So Jack is bounces around in our circles and said what's up every once in a while. So we always say hi when he comes through there. So what's up, my friend?
Absolutely. By the way, speaking of which, shout out to the Levito family. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, they picked up the family and everybody else, if I'm not mistaken, from the ramp where that same unit where John Chapman like grew up across from. They picked him up for his stuff, and so there's a connection there. If it's the same level, I'm assuming it's the same level.
It's the same one. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So the same connection to there. I love that area, man. That's where I'm at. I'll be bouncing back there in a couple months. I'm excited to get back up to that area. It's a great spot. So
okay. So Connor, PJ kid.
Yeah. So I think he's getting ready to go into he's going into that pipeline and everything else. So I don't know all that. Anyways. But he's like, hey man, so listen to One's Ready. It's really cool. Listen to your podcast, really cool. I was like, all right, thank you very much. That's wild to meet people. So 2 people at my gym know you guys. That's wild.
Yeah.
Yeah. So but he's like, all right, man. So I listen to questions and I listen to this and listen to that. And he's like, I eat it up and it's all great. But he kind of does his own thing. I'm not gonna put his stuff out there because I don't know if he wants me to put his stuff out. Anyways, but he does stuff related to like athletes, like professional athletes, college athletes, stuff like that. Anyways, and so he's like, hey man, you guys are always talking about leadership stuff. He's like, you're always talking about like, oh, well, you have to do this or you have to do that. He's like, yeah, but no bullshit. Like, what do you actually do when it happens? And I was like, well, what do you mean? He's like, for me, he's like, when you have these guys come in, like, how do you deal with the guy who like tries to test you when you're in charge? And I was like, that's actually a legit question. He's like, I figured because you guys live in like type A person. And I was like, we 1000%. Even though we all try to like be ourselves and be relaxed and be this, when we you guys walk into the team room, we walk into the debrief, the heritage room, if we want to call it that, or whatever. We both have pre-briefs, we both have debriefs, we both do murder board bullshit, all that stuff. And I was like, that's a great question. Like, how do you actually deal with the dude who's like pushing you, like during that? And I was like, well, I know a guy.
I am, well, because I am the guy. I'm usually the guy who pushes the button.
Me too.
Man. And it's tough, and I've lived it from both ends, right? Like I really did grow up in the regular Air Force and a pretty it wasn't like security forces regimented, but the place that I grew up was very, rank meant something, and you didn't we weren't standing at like parade rests for NCOs, but I mean, you were certainly minding your P's and Q's around them, and they did wield a heavy hand as far as regular Air Force goes back then. So I had the benefit of kind of growing up in that structure, right? So I wasn't really a stranger to it. And I was always I'm a forward personality. I am who I am, who you see, kind of on the podcast is exactly who I am, kind of in the room, in the team room and around the squadron. So, especially for speaking about us and to get to the question directly, like we are a meritocracy. Like you're as good as your last game. If your last game sucks, I mean, that's blood in the water, because I gotta be honest with you. We're not careerists by nature. But man, there's always somebody sitting there ready to take your spot right now. Like
always,
the boss in the movie that's like, oh, you think you can do better? Why don't you go ahead? Don't ever say that inside an ST unit, because somebody's gonna be moved into your desk before that sentence gets out of your mouth. I mean, it's just the way that it is. There's always somebody. What up, Peaches?
Hey,
in the house. We're a strict meritocracy. Like we have competition. There's guys that are dying for that next leadership spot. They're killing themselves outworking you or trying to outwork you every day.
I have a boss just like you do, and I guarantee you that if you ask me on like certain days, I'd be like, yeah, no, I can do his job.
No, I can step up and do it, because you know what? That's how we're trained.
That's the key right there.
If you are doing what you're supposed to, you should be able to slide in. Like I'm glad that Peaches is on here, so I don't have to talk too much crap, behind his back or send him the live and laugh about it later. I'm glad he can hear it live.
Right. That's right.
If Peaches is like, hey, Aaron, I got to be out for like a week. I'm going to need you to step up and take the chief spot. I'd be like, well, that doesn't make any sense, but yeah, let's go. Like, of course I can figure it out. Like, let's go see. Yeah. So you always have that aspect of it, and that's good. Right.
Yep.
But there is a good amount, and I've worked for several different leaders that have done it, different ways. Like, your true alpha males that, there's always a time for inputs until there isn't, until you're team leader and until the boss, until that leader goes, all right, guys, I took your inputs. Input time is over. This is what we're doing. On to the next problem. That's right. And it depends. A lot of people, handle this differently. I have a tech sergeant that just made master. He's a master select. His name is Jared. He taught me on my first deployment, about being a PJ. He was on his second deployment, and he taught me a lot of stuff. And we combined, like, met roads, back after however many deployments this is with Jared. But he's a much more quiet. He's not passive by any means. He's just quiet. He's very, very, you cannot get a rise out of Jared Stidham, talking about the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, gets his heart rate going about as much as a firefight does. And Jared just hangs out. So you don't have to do it. It doesn't have to look like one thing or another.
Yeah.
But it's touchy feely, but we talk about it all the time, man. I establish boundaries with my guys. I'm very clear, and I try to be very measured, because I'll look straight at the dudes and be like, hey, there's a time for input with me, and there's a time where I'm going to tell you no more input.
That's right.
Shout out to my boy Josh, one of my controllers, Josh Rivera. Josh is always the guy that's like, but Aaron. And sometimes I'm like, Josh, I love you, but if you don't be quiet, I'm going to go take a poop. I'm going to crap in your cage, and I'm going to shut the door.
That's right. That's what I love about our worlds. Like, because your world's going to be a little bit more than I am, but even then, like, it's the same concept, right? I heard a long time. I had a pilot years ago, right? Because for years, like the first time you step into the airplane and like as an FE, you're the only guy in the flight deck with all the O's, right?
Right.
So like you're nervous at first. You're like, oh, am I really supposed
That's hard
to
as a junior man,
press this button? Dude, I was a staff. I was a brand new. I don't even think I was a staff. I was a senior airman. I was a senior airman.
Yeah, as an E4.
It was weird. Yeah, I was an E4, and I went kind of the same as you, like, because I went from the traditional Air Force in the sense of I was a maintenance guy, right? Like, shout out to every wrench turner, because I friggin' there's literally nothing that.
What up, wrench monkeys?
I'm gonna 1000% go ahead and pause to just say shout out to all the wrench monkeys, because literally none of the things that need to happen to keep things going happen without like the wrench turners. It just doesn't. It's the proudest thing. Somebody asked me like, what do I want to do my last day in the Air Force? I want to marshal out an airplane and marshal it in, because it's the first thing I ever did. So it's like the thing I want to do to like send even though I'm not a maintenance guy, it doesn't matter, right? So
that's like the first real thing you ever did. That's dope.
It's the first real thing I ever did. So I was like, the first time they gave me, and I was just like, I wand and I like moved some wands and they followed what I was doing.
I'm in control of this aircraft.
What is this doing wild? Right now? Yeah, I was like, this is weird. And it was cool. And I was like, I love it. And so fast forward all those years and all the different jobs later, I was like, this is a great thing. So I want to figure out how I can just like marshal on an airplane at the very end, because why wouldn't it? It'd be fun. But yeah, so those guys are awesome. But it's funny because our worlds are the same in the sense of like we sit in, for us, I'm sure it's the same for you guys. I know it has to be. Well, you guys have been in on our debrief, so I know that it is. Like I know that it is, because we've all debriefed exercises and different things. We've done pre-briefs and debriefs, with different guys, and hey, we're going to go out and do this. We've had your guys step in, like they need this. It's going to be here, on-call air support, stuff like that. Actually flown with some of your guys that have been in the back of the airplane. Like, hey, they're going to be. We're going here. This is where we're going. Right. This is where we're dumping. This is what we're doing. And so the previous debriefs, they are similar in the sense of it's like, we're going to be very brutally honest here. We're not trying to berate this one person, but if today wasn't your day, you're going to know about it. And
you might need to hear it from it. Like, there's no need to dogpile.
Yes.
But because there's always a difference, right? Like you can always tell when somebody just wants to be like, yeah, I hated that guy. Aaron, that's you suck today. And I just hated you. And I just wanted to jump on this thing. There's always a difference between that and, man, maybe you just deserve it. And maybe you deserve to hear it from a couple other people. And I've been in the room, a couple times and just been like, because I'm always very sensitive to like, debriefs should be bloody, but they should be productive, and you should want to come back.
Correct.
Like it shouldn't.
You shouldn't bleed out. You shouldn't bleed out.
Exactly.
It's not no pun intended to the PJ, but like you shouldn't bleed out. You should absolutely like. Yeah, the perfect example. I was in a decent amount of time, but I remember sitting next to this old crusty. It was a crusty ass. So we had I think it was 4 airplanes out flying, and so I had a crusty FE sitting next to me, and this was legitimate. It was a tense night. You know, it was a stressful night by our standards. It was a stressful night. There was a lot of weather going on. We were trying to get to where we needed to go, actually put something on the ground for some people. And so there was a lot of tension. You know, obviously it's like, hey, we want to do our job, make sure we do our small teeny part to help you guys like have extra things. So when you're stuck somewhere, it was one of those kind of nights. Right. And so then we come back, and in the middle of all of this, we lost track of them. They lost track of us. Shit happens, bad weather, not in good places. And we're 100%. Yeah. And so you're 100% flying off of instruments. We got close, we lost them. And then we realized as they broke through the clouds, like we saw them and they had to be within 50 feet of going into us. And these are 130s. These aren't helicopters. These are 130s. Like, these aren't. Yeah. Yeah.
That's
and
the
so
absolute worst.
Exactly. Right. God. And so we got dudes in the back, and there's things going on, and there's stuff in the back, and we have this happen. Play it cool. Hey, break. You do our thing. You've got mountains. You've got a lot of. So you got to think about things. We get through stuff. We do all of our stuff. We go about our day. We get everything done. If you're an outsider looking in, you have no idea what's going on. Get home, debrief, and one of the guys is screaming and yelling, "Hey, I looked at this, and this is plotted, and this and that." We're all yelling. Everybody's losing their mind. And then the crusty guy sitting next to me, and he's like, "Watch this." And I was like, "Watch what?" And a real calm chief, loadmaster, so one of the guys in the back, sitting in there, and he's like, "Well, this is what we saw from our angle, and none of you guys were listening to us, and we were telling you what was going on, and you weren't paying attention. And so this is what actually happened. So for all your degrees and all your expertise and all your other things, this, and this is where you fucked up and almost got this." And they just he went into it, and I just listened, and I was like, and the other guy was like, "Told you." And I was like, "Yeah." And then, but everybody got quiet, right? Like colonels and everybody just got quiet, and they were listening. They were like, "You know what? He's right. How can we get better?" And it just changed the whole demeanor, right? And that was that moment when they needed to step up. It could have been the other way, where everybody just berated each other. It is a matter of like, if you have a legitimate thing that you need to say, we're gonna let you say it. Like, you need to say it, and then we're gonna find those moments we butt up against each other, right? And then we're gonna be like, hey, like if you were on that airplane, it like you saying something while we're flying is going to do nothing for us, right? So you're an awesome trained dude, but it's not going to help us. But the minute we touch down on God's green earth, and we press down, like when that weight on wheels switch touches, like if anything bad happens, every single person's going to turn their eyes to you and be like, "Well, now you're the most trained individual." So
yeah. And that's a hard thing, a hard thing to understand too, is we put in the Air Force, we put our people in those situations way sooner than everybody else. That E4 being the senior, you might be the senior guy in the back end of that aircraft. I can tell you from several different parts of our job, man, the E4 was the PJ that was running the mass casualty on the ground.
Yeah.
Like when the music stops, we put our guys at, the C, E4, E5, JTAC might be the guy that's out there. If you look at what, Sergeant Germanovich did with his most recent Silver Star, that dude's an E5. Dude's out there just crushing it at E5. And when the music stopped, everybody looked at him and he stood up big. So we put our people in those positions way sooner than the sister services do, comparatively. So,
yeah. Well, I think that's part of it too. Like the guy asking the question, "How do you deal with this? How do you do it?" Part of it is put yourself out there constantly. Like, try some shit that you're not good at. Like, try some things and fail. So that way, whenever somebody turns around and they go, "Hey man, like I need me," like, "All right, well, based on my experience, this, and this, based on my training, this, and this, based on what I believe I'm capable of doing, this, and this." And then also, like check that ego at the door. And whenever all of a sudden something sounds like maybe it's a little bit smarter than what you just said, you should probably be quiet and be like, "You know what? Yep, I'm gonna go ahead and listen now. Like this makes total sense." Like, hey, this guy's smart.
This guy's making a lot of sense. So I don't know where he's getting these answers, but you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna listen to this guy. And it's hard in the moment too. It's easy for us to say too, but it's like any other muscle. Like you really have to, like the really high performing teams, there's not a whole lot of talk that goes on, and really the only talk are directional inputs. Like, and you'll and I train my guys with aircrew terminology all the time. Directive, then descriptive, then all others, right? Do this, here's why. And then if you need further explanation here, we'll talk about that. But the more clear and concise you can make that communication, that sort of crew resource management type communication, it's just way more effective. And on my teams, that's where we strive to go. Right.
Yeah. No doubt.
Minimum amount of words, maximum amount of effort. Just need you to do this. Here's why. Cool. Just moving.
Well, and that translates over, right? Because you think about like how we all grow up. Everybody grows up different. I had this conversation not that long ago with a young O, and he said that he was like, I told everybody to do this, and then they went and did. I was like, hey man, why do you think everybody just knows what it is that you want out of life? Like, why would we know that? And he was like, well, the last time I checked, and I was like, before you say the shit I know you're about to say as a young officer, we're just gonna pause the conversation right now.
I've played this game before, and I know where you're going. Yeah. Can we get to the end where we're friends again?
Right.
Can we skip over the nasty middle part where I have to yell at you?
Yeah, there's like 3 of these little stops along the way that we can go ahead and just move past. But we had that conversation. I was like, listen, man, like some people grew up with a lot of order and some people in structure, and some people grew up with none, and some people grew up with 2 parents, and some people grew up with none, and some people grew up with 1, and some grew up in the north and the south and the east, and they grew up overseas. Like literally everybody comes from a different way. And so you have to figure out how to get that point across in a way that is like can combine all of them, right? Like you said, like you got to be clear, you got to be direct, you have to break it down. Like, here's an order, this is how you can follow it, this is where we can get to where we want to be, and then we can ask some questions later, right? Even that you know that as well as I do, because I'm probably a lot like you in my version of a team room, in the sense of like I'm usually laid back. My style's a little different, right? And so my style is like I sit there completely composed. I don't actually show emotion, and then all at once my problem is when I hear something, I'm like, what did you just say? And I say it out loud, and then I'm like, oh, see, that's where I messed up. And so that's my style of like, so I'm waiting, and then all at once it's just like, what did you just say? And I just like go, and that's right. But then I attack, right? And kind of like you, like I'll attack, but I'm not meaning to, unless I am meaning to, but I'm not meaning to do it usually in a negative way. You know, it may come across a way. So it takes me sometimes I got to rewind it.
Well, I tell people just all the time. I just tell people, hey, I may seem adversarial because I am. I'm not arguing with you. It's not that I don't think you're a bad person. I might think you have a bad idea. Like if I think your idea sucks, I'm going to treat you like you have a bad idea. You know what I mean? We're going to
have a conversation about it.
Right. But that doesn't mean I think you're a bad person. I'm not malicious in my intent. I may be aggressive and I may be argumentative, but that's because I want the best out of what it is that we can do. And by the way, I'm willing to be wrong. And this was some really, really good input that I got from one of those guys that he's one of those officers where if he called me right now and he's like, Aaron, I want you to come work for me. I'm working here. I'd be like, yeah, done. Yeah. Just tell me where you need to go. But he looked at me and we were talking about going. I had a pretty wacky idea for a way that we were going to approach some employment stuff during a follow-on during Angel Thunder, right? Like I wanted to do some things out of Vegas, and he looked at me and he goes, hey, everybody in the world is going to look at you like you're crazy, right? He's like, so that's what it's going to be. And I was like, well, they're not going to look at me crazy when I go down there and win. And he's like, you know, I love you. And he's like, and I know he's like, I know you believe that. He's like, are you willing to lose though? He's like, are you willing to stake your credibility on this thing and you just totally get embarrassed? And he's like, what if they just laugh you out of the room? And I was like, well, I don't think that's going to happen because I think I've done my due diligence, but I get what you're saying and I'm willing to lose as well. And he's like, okay, well, then I'm in. Then let's go.
That's it. You got to have that.
And we ended up getting good effects, but it's, you just need to, everybody wants to win. Everybody thinks that they're going to be the guy that uppercuts a punk ass onto a prom table in front of everybody, and they're going to clap, and people are just going to be like, yeah, you're the best, and you're going to get first class, and you're going to get an upgrade, and you're going to get the girl. And man, sometimes it ain't like that, homie. Like sometimes you have to be willing to be like, okay, well, hey, I thought that this was best at the time, and I threw my best shot at it, but I unfortunately failed.
You know, I got the funny thing, 2 things that came to mind. One of them was, I remember I walked out of a meeting one day and I was pretty sure that I had proven my point at a level of which the whole world knew. And one of the guys comes out. He's actually somebody that he gave me one of the books I got behind me that I don't know how to read, but it has pictures in it. So, but like we had a conversation and I said something to him whenever, and he's like, hey man, you made a lot of good points in there. I was like, fucking thank you. I know I did. And he was like, yeah, but the problem is, just screaming them at everybody. So nobody cares what you're saying.
Right.
And I was like, well, that's terrible. And then I was like, well, that's probably right. And so, but like that, even that, like learning delivery was big, right? Like there's no, like even that, like learning how to deliver something that you're thinking about. Like Everybody delivers different. Everybody learns different. Everybody does those things. And then you talk about basically saying, hey, when we go down there and win, right? Like I remember walking into a boss's office. I was in one of those joyous and wonderful moments where I was in a squadron where we had all the money in the world because we were standing one up.
Sure.
And so it was like, oh, you know what I'm talking about? Like that real freedom. When somebody,
real money.
That real money, not the fake money where you're still checking the bill. We're talking about that real money. And I just walked in the boss's office and I was like, hey, I have an idea. Me and Joe do, and we're going to go look at some Advon stuff. And then you're going to want to say yes. It's going to cost a decent amount of money. It's going to take a lot of time. It's going to be a lot of effort, but you're going to look awesome. And we're not going to get you fired. And it'll make everybody better training wise. And he was like, I don't want to actually know what you're talking about. I was like, sounds good. Sounds great.
That's a good boss.
I was like,
I don't actually want to know what you're talking about.
Yeah. I was like, don't worry about it. I promise you'll get like a plaque at the end of this that you can take to your house. I don't know. And he just like, get out of my office. And I was like, okay, yes, sir. Sounds good. But he trusted us. Right. And so even
sometimes that's all you need.
That's all you need. And so it's funny because that's actually what goes back to like the leadership of who presses your buttons kind of thing. Like when you have people maybe like ourselves who will test, we'll dip the toe in the water and be like, what's that? And then jump in, like cannonball style and see what comes from it. When you have that, you need somebody that knows how to like even temper their own emotions and they know how to handle your emotions and then get you through the other side of that. And sometimes that's what they like. You actually need somebody who knows how to balance you out. Like, I think that's what a lot of it is figuring out putting people around you when possible that are different than you.
Yeah, like 100%. Because just like having Jared as that kind of counterfoil of who I am, like I've had to become better because I truly do want to. I can't afford to have people that work for me that I'm just like, ugh, I hate dealing with them. Like, do I get along with every single person on the flight that I supervise? No, come on, man. No, I purposely put up boundaries. I don't interact with them on certain levels. I'm the old guy that leaves the party early now. You know what I mean? Like the boys got to be able to get blackout and drunk and talk shit about their boss. Like, and they can't do that if I'm there. So
that's right. If you stay there too long, you mess that up.
Hey, it is what it is, man. And at some level that hurts, but at some level, like they need that freedom as well, because the flip side of this that I've grown into is that, it sucks to have somebody that pushes your buttons. You know what else sucks? When you're the guy in their shoes and you have really, really good ideas, and because you're so aggressive, you get ignored by a guy that's not willing to change himself to be a good enough leader for you. And I refuse to do that. I refuse to. I don't care if I hate you as a person. I don't care if I just think you're the worst person in the world. As long, barring illegal, immoral, unethical, dumb, stupid, that stuff, dangerous. I'm happy to change the way that I lead in order to get the most out of you. And maybe it is entertaining some more what I think are dumb questions. Maybe it is, just taking some time to really be that Jedi master, just back up my own emotions and go, hey,
that's right.
I understand that what you're doing is good, but you need to approach this a little bit differently. Here's how we do things. Now, what's your idea? All right, that's stupid. Get out of here. You know what I mean? Right. Like, or hey, that's a good one. I've begrudgingly, the first couple of times it happens to you, you begrudgingly accept a good idea that wasn't your own idea. And then after that, you're like, man, that's a win for all of us. You start to realize, I'm going to be able to turn this in. I'm going to get him decorated for this. I'm going to get the flight something for this. I'm going to secure more budget because we take these wins. And when you can cross that bridge, when you can get away from your own ego and realize that you're all working for the same thing, man, that guy's not really so much of a problem. That girl what would I say their problem is? That they're too ambitious, that they drive too hard, they care too much, they work too hard. Get out of here. What are we complaining about, man?
Give them something different. Give them something special.
Here we go.
What happened to special projects, right? Like,
whatever. Guess what? You're gonna honcho something, my guy, because I'm gonna write the word honcho on your EER.
That is the best. Yeah, when you can get some like random word put in there, that's the greatest thing. I have some that like I definitely would not on necessarily mine.
There was like 6 years of time where I would put crippling insurgent networks nightly on EPRs, and I would sneak in at least once a cycle. It's easy when you write on like 25 people. You can just sneak it in, right? Yeah. So like, and it's even easier now because they're all do it once. So like I wrote, I think I'm not one of those supervisors that's like write your own EPR. I'm like, hey, let's talk about what you did. You're not supposed to be able to write your own bullets. You don't need to write me bullets, right? But you are going to tell me what you're going to do here, and I'm going to evaluate you. And
that's right.
Whatever, we're going to call it good. But I just laugh. I just laugh at getting silly things in the EPRs every single year because it was crippling insurgent networks nightly for like 4 or 5 years
That's
in a row.
legit. I have one from 2016, 2017 timeframe. So Mosul, and that was Syria also, but it was Mosul especially. And that was like when obviously when you and every just wonderful human being decided to go take back that city, horrible brick by horrible
Mosul.
brick.
I hate Mosul.
Fuck
Mosul
that
and
place.
Spiker. Those guys,
yeah,
both fucking go to hell.
Yeah, they can both go. Yeah, that's a great way to say it. I was sitting down writing the other day about some stuff, and I just remember like sitting there. I have a video where I was just like looking through my nogs because I remember they were like one of the intel guys. They were like, Mosul is not that bad right now. It's probably worse in the media. And we were flying over it every night. And I was like, hey man, that place is shitty. So I have videos. Yeah. So I have video. Yeah. Bad, man. I have like nog video of it, like shooting back all over the place. And I took it back. And then I was like, hey man, like I took time out of our flight so you can see this and shut up. And so we had him look at that. But I remember that. But I remember doing all that. And then we come back. So I remember on my EPR that year, our boss for our guys, whatever, but he put on there assisted in the support or whatever, blah, 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 the total annihilation of ISIS. And I was just like, that is so wonderful.
In the area of the Mosul Dam. Good.
Yes. I was just like, this is fantastic. Like it made me so happy, like to see that, like I was just
see
like,
it on the sheet. Yeah.
That was it. So yeah, it was legit, dude. So yeah, man, it was freaking great, man. I want to switch subjects on you real fast. I got to give you a shout out. All right.
Okay. Oh, my dude. I'm telling you, that's the heat right there, huh? I had some of that. I'll tell you what, it blew my mind, man. They re-released it for that October. And so we the reason that I even did that, right, is we went down, my mom. So I'm the oldest of 4 boys in the military. I've talked about this before, but it's very few and far between that we're all stateside, right? Yeah. So this year was the first time, I think, in 6 or 7 consecutive years that one of us hasn't been deployed at some point, right? Yeah. Sometimes as many as 3 of us at a time. I've run into my brothers on deployments. Other PJs, my brothers are 2 of my brothers are helicopter pilots too. So like Ivan Ruiz like rings my phone one night. Like Danny, my brother Danny calls me and I pick my phone up and it's Ivan Ruiz. And I'm like, what are you doing? And he like moves the phone over and my brother Danny was sitting next to him. But he's like, what's up, nerd? So the 58th and my brother were literally like living in the tents next door to each other on LSA Roberts over in Iraq. So
that's legit.
But yeah, so my mom got us all together. She was like, hey, I want all the kids. I want all the boys to get together. And we're going to have a small family reunion.
Yeah.
But they re-released it. My mom brought it with her from Ohio and all of us flip shit. Cause we were like, oh man.
Dude, we had that.
Give me that blueberry.
Oh yeah, man. I went to the store. You posted that and I told Katie, I was like, because Katie's from Australia, so she didn't even know what the hell blueberry was.
She doesn't even have any clue, man.
No clue. And I took her. I was like, get in the car. We're going to the cereal aisle.
Get in the car, Katie.
Like, what? And I was like, I'm in charge right now. I'm never in charge. I'm in charge of this relationship.
Get your butt in this car.
We got in the car and went to the store and there was no Count Chocula. It was gone. You could see where all of it was. There was literally 1 box of blueberry sitting there and I grabbed it. And I was like, I'm taking it right now. It was one. And I went back to the store. There was none left. I was like, I got the one. And so I've had this. She's like, oh my God. I was like, we're going to go
crushed that bowl. I crushed it so hard. Hey, and get on my level, my dude. If you mix them together, the Count Chocula mix as well. You can either have like a berry mix or you can have the strawberry, like not the blueberry, but the strawberry, the whatever the other one is.
It doesn't even matter. It's
that one and the Count Chocula one. Those two go the best together, and then the mixed berries go the best together. That's grown. That's grown up shit.
Yeah, that's grown up shit. Yeah, that's next level. I saw that and I was like, let me get that right there. I remember a buddy of mine getting having blueberry. We were so young and he had blueberry and he wanted Count Chocula and didn't have Count Chocula and he went and got Hershey's chocolate and made chocolate milk and then dropped it in the blueberries. And I was like,
I'm not mad at his invention. Like any port in a storm, but that's pretty ghetto.
It was ghetto.
That's pretty ratchet.
Super ghetto. He's a ghetto kind of guy. Though. He really was. Like I was, but he was. Like he was legit. Like he would come up with some wild shit. Yeah, man. I couldn't wait to get to the store. And I was like, man, there was one left. I was like, this is exactly what this is supposed to be. Like this was supposed to happen. So I had to get it. So
nice.
Well, listen, brother, I don't want to keep too much of your time. I know you're probably like stewing some stuff or doing something very healthy.
I'm baking. I'm roasting some vegetables. I'm meal prepping right now, dog. We ready?
Dude,
baby.
That's awesome.
And then go watch this football game.
Oh yeah, I'll get you off so you can go watch a football game. Let me ask you one more thing when it comes to that, so people, obviously, people know where to find you guys and all that kind of stuff. That's
Right.
not a problem.
Got it.
That ain't no issue. But let me ask you, I thought about this the other day. I was like, I'm curious, so I'm gonna ask one of them, and I'm gonna talk to Aaron. So I'll ask Aaron. So you guys have your YouTube channel. You got your Instagram. You got you got put all the podcasts out. And
we're here
else.
and there. We're out there.
Yeah, man. But you guys are starting to hit up it seems like the YouTube. You guys are dropping a ton of stuff.
Yeah,
lately, like
we are.
a ton of stuff.
We are.
Tell me about that. That's great.
So yeah, man, we just found that like we like producing more content. Like you know, Trent and I like getting together and just kind of BS. And we were just talking about how we're you know, we're gonna get together and put out a little bit more content, and some of the more of these videos, like the One's Ready channel, we want to keep it clean for everybody. We want we want them to know that if you go to One's Ready and you know, you hit us up, I mean, it's business. Like we're here to help you. No kidding, because it's important, right? Like the quest is righteous. We want to help as many people as we can, and we're working even closer than ever before with the Air Force and with the recruiting agencies and all this other stuff. Like you're going to see us around at different places a lot more. So we always want to keep it for that. But we just realized, like Trent and Peaches and, you know, Brian and I, we just like getting together and talking to people and bringing our friends on and talking and putting that content out there. And some people like the content. Like I don't even know how to describe it, but people are just like, hey, this is a funny thing. Like we like watching you and Trent BS about stuff. So we're like, okay, well, I mean, we like it. We have the ability to. So it's just a thing. It's the different platforms to kind of draw everybody in and give people more of a community and get ourselves out there, at least for the project's sake. But yeah, a lot more. Just and to be honest with you, it's just easier for us. We get on just like this. We BS. Like we're gonna have this file, man. I'm totally planning on throwing this up on the YouTube and having it be part of the channel so that people can look, because that's how we see other stuff. That's how we round ourselves out, right? But if you look at the look at the YouTube channel, we have so many different, you know, people and walks of life on there, from Jason Ellis to, you know, astronauts to PJ supporting the space missions to, you know, CAG guys to you know, everybody that, you know, New York best-selling authors and command teams from the military. You know, we're trying to keep it as eclectic as possible on purpose, because we all are. Like we all love those things, you know. So yeah, we've been putting a lot of more stuff out on the YouTube, and you should expect more of that. Like we're definitely going to put more stuff out like that, and we don't really have a plan for it. Sometimes we're just like, man, we got a big bank of stuff, we should get all this stuff out. And then, you know, we see what works and we go from there. So that's the short of it, man. Yeah, I'm
into it. Well, if you actually do put this out, which you shouldn't, but if you put this out on YouTube, then you'll be able to say that you have a slightly out of shape, somewhat of an aviation kind of guy who rocks blueberries. Like I don't know, like there's nothing. There'll be no special awards given out for me, but I can assure you I can eat the hell out of some kind of unsatisfactory food.
Well, let's plan on it. Let's put the pin in it there, so at least the people can see it here on the channel, and we'll put it up if it's cool. We'll throw it up on the YouTube.
Yep. Either way, brother.
We'll put it out there to make sure that people can keep finding it, because it was a good talk, and you know that's the point, man. We want to get that information out there.